Well, hello there. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. This is where we take a look at ourselves and the world around us. And hopefully after this brief hour we get to spend with one another, we walk away a little bit changed, a little bit closer to God. I'm Debbie Georgiani, and Jerry Usher unfortunately cannot be with us today. He's taking care of something that just came up unexpectedly. And so he'll be back with us tomorrow. So you just have me on YouTube and on Skype and all those wonderful ways that you FaceTime, all those wonderful ways, Facebook Live, that you can get to see Take Two. So I need your participation today. I don't want to be talking to myself. I want to be discussing these great issues with you so that we can see how we come out of it. So if you can help us out, here's the number, 1-800-585-9396. Like I said, Jerry Usher will be back tomorrow. I'm with you today, and today we're talking about what devastating disappointment did you survive? Okay, so think about that for just a moment. Have you lived through a devastating loss or experience that left you thinking that you would never recover? And then you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is the worst experience of my life. There's no way I'm going to make it through. I think I'll forever be changed and not for the better. And it's going to ruin my life, and it's never going to be the same. And this was it. I had this one chance, and this thing happened to me, or many things happened to you. And it was just devastating. It really rocked your world to the core. Have you ever gone through a devastating disappointment like that? But you've lived to tell about it, and you finally have gotten to a point where you said, I'm okay. Or maybe you said, I'm better than okay. I'm really good. I really can handle this. I can really get through all of this. We want to talk about that today. We're talking about devastation and how you have survived it. Here's the number, 1-800-585-9396. If you don't have about 5 minutes to wait and be on the show, then please text us. Text the letters EWTN to 55000. You wait for a response, and then you put your first name in, your question or your comment, and I'll put it right into the discussion as it applies. And that can really help to contribute as well, because remember, what you have to say can really change a heart, can really change a soul, can really help somebody else. So don't sit this out and think, they don't want to hear about my sad pity story. I'm going to listen to other people's. No, your story is very, very important. And I'll share a little bit more about my devastation as well. As a matter of fact, right before the show, I'll disclose to you that when Jerry shared with me this morning that he was unable to be on the show, I almost thought about changing the topic, because Jerry actually came up with this topic. And then I thought, okay, Lord, is there a reason that this is happening? Because typically you hear Jerry and I share the mic. We go back and forth and we co-host this show together. And I have the mic all to myself. So I was saying to myself, is it time for me to possibly share a little bit more of the devastation that I have lived through? And now I can talk about it. Well, actually, I'm still living through it. So it's interesting how God works. He wants to touch our hearts and souls. He wants to bring us in closer to Him. And it's very, very important that we cooperate, we're open, and we listen. And this show, we believe, is Holy Spirit. We really believe it is Holy Spirit driven. Because you participate in what you have to share really does change hearts. Phone lines are already lighting up, and that is a good sign. That means you do have something to share about this. We're talking about if you've lived through a devastation and what it has done in your personal life, your character, what it has done in your faith life. We want to hear all about that on Take Two today. 1-800-585-9396. That's what we're talking about today. Please join us. This is your show. This is where you can make a difference in the entire world. We'll be right back.
And welcome to EWTN's Bookmark Brief. I'm Doug Keck. I just finished talking with Patty Gallagher Mansfield about her Golden Jubilee edition of her book, As by a New Pentecost, Dramatic Beginning of the Catholic Charismatic renewal. So, Patty, you want to give us a little synopsis of what this Golden Jubilee edition is about?
Yes, well, 2017 marks 50 years since the Duquesne Weekend, which was the event that sparked the Catholic Charismatic Renewal. But the book is more than just the Duquesne Weekend, because our Holy Father Pope Francis has said to us in the renewal, share with the whole church the grace of baptism in the Spirit.
Well, thank you so much. We're talking here again with Patty Gallagher-Mansfield. This is the Golden Jubilee edition of As by a New Pentecost, the dramatic beginning of the Catholic Charismatic Renewal, available through the EWTN Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. And look for the interview coming soon to EWTN. This has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief. Thanks for joining us.
Carry EWTN with you everywhere when you download the EWTN app. You can enjoy EWTN TV and radio live streams, shows on demands, prayers and devotionals, and the latest Catholic news. Visit EWTNapps.com today.
We know you like listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, but have you thought about bringing them to your next event? No matter what type of event you're hosting, parish mission, conference, or retreat, trust Jerry and Debbie to make it come alive. Begin the process today of taking your presentation to the next level of success. For information on booking Jerry and Debbie, visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo.
This is Dr. Greg Popchak.
And Lisa Popchak.
This is Chris Stefanik, host of Real Life Catholic.
This is Archbishop Samuel Aquila from the Archdiocese of Denver. And thank you for listening to EWTN Radio.
Wow, phone lines are completely lit up here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Like I said, Jerry Usher will be back tomorrow, so you just have me today. So hi to everybody on Facebook Live and YouTube. You can weigh in as well, because we get your comments, and then Jeff Burson is so quick, he puts them right up on the screen so we can let you weigh in as well on this conversation. We're talking about what devastating disappointment did you survive? And maybe you're still on that path. So you're still trying to figure out what is happening to you. Can God actually restore me back to good health, to a good standing, to a good feeling again? Or am I going to always forever be changed in a way that I didn't want to be? You know, these are a lot of things. And let me just share something with you. Everything that I am putting forth today, I am either living through or I have lived through. I just want to let you know that. So the questions that I'm kind of posing, I've actually dealt with them myself. So I wouldn't wish what I went through on my worst enemy. However, I'll share with you a little bit later how I have come to understand why it happened and how it's still unfolding in my faith walk. So if you want to get in when an open line becomes available, please dial in. Michael McCall is answering the phones today. He's wonderful to talk to. He's so nice. Here's the number, 1-800-585-9396. Well, Mary got our First Up virtual award. Mary got in so quickly, driving through Virginia, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Mary. Welcome to Take Two.
Hello.
Hi, Mary.
Hello, can you hear me?
Very well. Very well. You got it. Are you on Bluetooth?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds great. Go ahead. So tell me what your thoughts are on this.
Well, I just want to say that people who are having difficulty in their marriages and are close to divorce or thinking of divorce, that I have survived. My husband was unfaithful, and I found out about it 17 years in our marriage. And it wasn't just one person. It was many people, which was very, very difficult to deal with. But I think the Lord, due to prayer, and that's all I can attribute it to, our marriage survived, because I asked the Lord to lead me and guide me in what to do. I didn't want to take the home life and change it for our children, because I felt like they would just be devastated. So here we are, almost 47 years in marriage, and our marriage is so much better as a result, I think, of what we went through. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody, but I see where the Lord taught us a lot. And I think if you're not in a terribly abusive marriage or whatever like that, I mean, not everybody's story is the same, obviously, but not to give up, to trust in the Lord.
Right.
And
Well,
because of that, our 3 children survived as well, and they're all happily married and willing to work in their own marriages because they saw us work even when we were so broken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mary, have you ever meditated on the book of Romans? I'm just curious.
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah, because, in Romans it talks about a lot about suffering, building perseverance, building character, having hope, and hope doesn't disappoint us. And as you were talking about your story, I was just thinking about how you went through all the stages, and I want to just say that I feel like you're such a hero in the sense that you knew what was the right path. You clung onto your faith, and you knew it was the right path for your marriage and for your family. And so obviously you must have put aside some of your own feelings, because I'm sure you went through a lot of devastating feelings, emotional. I know because I went through them. The feelings of, the trust issues that are broken, and just the feelings of betrayal and everything. And even maybe self-esteem issues. You put aside those for your marriage and your family, and now it seems like you said 40 years later. I mean, you've been in the marriage for 40 years. God is blessing you with your family going on, your legacy going on, and I just want to say that takes a really strong Christian to do that, and we need more of you. Because
the irony of it really is that I felt like I had a relationship with the Lord at the time, but I really wasn't very strong. I was very angry and upset, and I said some very mean things because I felt so hurt.
Sure.
But I think in all of it, the Lord forgave me for my angry outbursts and my impatience and all of the faults that that were exacerbated during this time. I think it was a covenant relationship.
Right.
And I felt that.
Right. But Mary, he had to have seen something in you. And see, I believe that the fact that you got mad at God and you got angry and all these emotions came out, he loved that because he knew that you had a relationship with him. He knew that because you only do that with people you have some form of a relationship with. And so he saw something in you that he tapped into, and you were cooperative. You cooperated with that. And so, I mean, to me, I think it's a story that all of us need to hear, especially, I mean, all marriages right now are under attack because Satan wants to come in through the weakest link. He will come in through the weakest link, and he won't stop there. He'll go to the children. He'll go to the extended family. He will keep going until he gets what he wants, which is a complete broken family. But because God saw something in you, Mary, that was important. I just wanted to say that I think that is awesome because we need more. And I use the word heroes because we do need that. We need a person to stand up to say, wait a minute, I'm not going to let this happen to the children. I'm not going to let this happen. It's not on my watch. And it sounds like even though you were angry and even though you went through all the gamut of emotions, you hung in there.
The interesting thing is I never felt angry at God. I was angry at my husband, and I was angry at myself for not seeing the signs or symptoms,
Yeah.
Which, of course, hindsight's always better than foresight. Never thinking anything like that would ever happen. But I want people to know that the Lord will help. And with the Lord, anything can change.
Oh yeah, that's why the motto that I have, or I should say, the scripture verse that I have all over my house is Matthew 19:26. You know, with man it's impossible, but with God all things are possible, and it's so true. I mean, I live by it. So I agree with you, Mary. Thank you for imparting your story today. You know, there are families out there that are really hanging by a thread, and you know, your witness can really make people say, wait a minute, this can work. We can get past all the human emotions and do the right thing for our marriage and family. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing your heart with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, God bless you. Thanks, Mary. Well, we're talking about devastation today, and if you've been through a devastating disappointment and how you survived, and share with us, you know, what you want to share. I shouldn't say what you want to share. Impart to us the wisdom, like Mary just did, of how we can take note of it. You know, stay close to God, do the right thing, really be faithful, and you can get through this. You can persevere. It can build character, and within it you can find hope. There can be a joyful outcome. So, okay, so next up, I think we're going to go to Fabio. I think we're going to move to Fabio in Niagara Falls, Canada. Hi, Fabio. Welcome to Take Two.
Good morning, or good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, I just want to share my story. I am from Colombia. I was kidnapped by the guerrilla while I was working in the mountains in a hydro project, and they kept me 6 months. And then I suffered from high blood pressure since I was 25, and I am 57. But the time I was kidnapped, I was 40, and they didn't give me the medicine. The food was no good. I had no communication with my family, and yeah, it was all the time. Every morning I was shaking my hands because I didn't know what was going to happen. There were it was in the mountains. Then I was bit by any animals. It was all the time mosquitoes over me. The situation was no good. The good thing, they gave me the Holy Bible, and the thing that gave me peace was reading the Psalms, and then I was praying with the Psalms, celebrating as if I was already released. But the thing, every so often, probably every week, they say, "Oh, you are going to be free next week." Then they were trying to make me, I don't know, to give up or something and offer money, but I didn't have money really. I didn't have money to offer. I told them I have a car, a house, and everything has a debt. But anyway, it was a hard situation. The time came when I was going to release after 6 months in that situation, and we were waiting. We walked 3 days to the spot where I was going to be released. The negotiators were supposed to be there 9 in the morning. It was 3 in the afternoon. They didn't show up. Then I say, okay, that's it. I think I'm going to die if I go back, because they told me, no, we have to go back to the spot where we were. And I was sure I was going to die because no medicines. I was getting really thin. I was bones and skin. And by the time I said that, I just put my hands, my life in God's hands. And miraculously, I was going to start praying that way. And then the news came that the negotiators, the car they were driving broke, and then we had to walk 7 kilometers to get to a spot. But anyway, next day I was released. But the important thing was when I say, God, I am yours. Whatever you want me, whatever you will for me, I accept it. I put my life in His hands, and everything changed in that moment. And then that's my story. But then before that, it was I was from October 1999 to May 2000, and then I was there the New Year's for the it was no good. Anyway, before that I was a good father because I was working all the time out of the town. When I came to the town, to the city. Then I was just with my friends, and I was not sharing much time with my family. Then after that, 1 year after I came to Canada looking for refuge, and here I became a deacon for the Catholic Church.
So, Fabio, you're a deacon right now?
Yeah, I'm a deacon 3 years already.
Oh, wow. Praise be to God. So for our listeners that just tuned in, I want to make sure, because at the beginning I had a little bit difficult time with a connection with you. So in Colombia, you were held captive for, is it 6 months you said? And then because you, if I heard this correctly, they gave you a Bible, so you meditated on the Psalms, which I mean, I don't need to tell you this. You're a deacon. There's such power in that. But then you made a conscious effort to say, Lord, whatever happens, I'm in your hands. And you said it changed from that point forward. And so I'm fascinated by the fact that you went through this complete, horrific situation. It was devastating, of course. I mean, your life was on the line. I mean, at any time, they could have killed you. But yet, am I sensing that you had a strong sense of peace within it?
Yes, especially when I was praying with the Psalms. I didn't know by that time about the liturgy of the hours. I didn't know about that, but I found in the Psalms that they give me peace and hope, and I just choose those Psalms that are saying thanks God, those Psalms that give me hope. And then, I didn't have any medicines for my anxiety, but just praying the Psalms give me a lot of peace.
Right. So that was the spiritual medicine and the medicine you needed to get through it. Wow.
Yes.
And it was 6 months long, Fabio? 6 months?
Yes, 6 months.
Oh, my goodness.
And there were tarantulas, there were spiders, there were all kind of animals around me, but even if all the mosquitoes that was on top of me all the time, I didn't get sick. I got healed. I had some kind of allergy in my hands. I couldn't use soap in my hands. And then they gave me a bottle of soap that you use to wash clothes. It was an old kind. And it was the way I got healed from many things.
Oh,
I have a better health right now than I had before. Life changed, especially after being ordained as a deacon. Life changed a lot, and thanks God, I cannot count the blessings. I cannot. When I was there, even I was writing in a book the things I need for which to be grateful, and I didn't stop. Even in that situation, I was finding more and more things to be thankful, and it was a spiritual experience, because everything went well after that. I got closer to God. I understood life is not but to be led by yourself, but for the well-being of others, and everything changed. I thought I was a good person, but no, I realized I made my best confession after that, because I was writing to all my sins, all my faults, weakness, and everything. And then after I was released, I went right to a priest to do reconciliation, and life started changing from that moment on. Everything has been.
Well, this is an amazing, miraculous story. I mean, taken to really the brink of death, and then now your life has changed in such an incredible way. And thank you for sharing this with us, because it just goes to show how God works in the lives and the hearts. And now you're serving the church as a deacon. Wow, thank you for your vocation. Fabio, you're a strong deacon, and I think that is wonderful. And thank you for serving the church. Thank you for being there with us, so we can tap into your faithfulness, and that gives us hope. So God bless you. What an amazing story. Wow. Dear listeners, we have so many more to get to. Jose and Jared and Vicky and the others, please hang on. We're going to go ahead and take a break in just a few minutes. We're talking about living through some devastating disappointments, and how did you survive? How did it change you? How did you have a full transformation like Fabio did, or the character and strength that Mary built for her family? I mean, this happens through devastation. Because how do you get to change? How do you have the circumstances around you unless God allows them to happen around you so that He can build you, He can strengthen you, He can make you truly understand that there's more to your life. He has a divine purpose for your life, and this is just an incredible show today. It's really, I know it's helping me. I hope it's helping you as well. If you want to get in, please call 1-800-585-9396. This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we'll be right back.
This is Life Issues with Brad Mattis, president of Life Issues Institute.
Planned Parenthood's flagship abortion facility is the Margaret Sanger Center in Manhattan, named after their founder. You'd expect such a facility to be one of the safest, but what they don't want the public to know is since the beginning of the year, they've had to transport 7 women by ambulance to hospitals. Based on ambulance runs, this makes them one of the most dangerous abortion mills in America. Thanks to vigilant pro-lifers outside these killing centers, we're exposing Planned Parenthood and the rest of the abortion industry for what they do not only to babies, but also women. A Planned Parenthood in Indiana was forced to close by the state health department because they didn't have admitting privileges to a local hospital. Women, beware. Abortion's dangerous to your health.
Like us on Facebook at Life Issues and stay informed, more informed than you've ever been.
Dr. Ray Guarendi.
When did you come to the faith? I came to the faith when my kids were teenagers, or when they were grown. That's a source of guilt. Why couldn't I come to the faith so I could raise them in the faith? Okay, be grateful that you came to the faith when you did. The timing is not always ours. Now, since you're deeper in the faith, you can do one thing that you wouldn't have done before. You can pray for the children. Be grateful that you came to the faith at some point. Let the children see what mom is like now, what dad is like now, compared to how they were raised before mom or dad came to the faith. Not a source of guilt, source of gratitude.
Thanks for being with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Please forgive me. I almost can't even think of the words to respond to the callers today. After listening to Deacon Fabio's story, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I can't even imagine what he went through, and yet he held on to such incredible strength in Scripture and how it has transformed his life. And I'm thinking to myself, my story of devastation is nothing compared to what he went through. And this is why we do this show, so we can journey together, we can lock arms and realize we're not alone. We all go through things, and that this is why we really put it into perspective. So we're going to go right back to the phones. Vicki in Minnesota has been waiting so patiently. Vicki, thank you so much. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely. Thanks, Vicki.
Oh, neat, because I'm just sitting in my car with Bluetooth, and I didn't know whether it worked. Anyway, devastation, I don't like to use that term, but it really, of course, was pretty awful. My husband was affected by Agent Orange and passed away last year, and I was his caregiver for, the last 5 years, although he was sicker for beyond that. And it did shake up my world, and I called about 6 months ago because I had come back to the Catholic faith. He and I were both Catholic. We both left the church. I left a little bit before he did, and we're gone for 25 years. And then after he passed away, I realized I could go anywhere, and I came back to the church. And I have filled my life with this sounds so sanctimonious, and I don't want it to sound like this, but of working for others. And I just finished doing Meals on Wheels, and I try to volunteer every single day out of gratitude to the Lord, and not because I'm so wonderful. And people misinterpret that, and they go, "Oh, you're so fantastic." No, it really gives me joy to do for others.
Right. No, I can totally understand that. And Vicki, I know you have called before. I believe we do have your husband's name in our book. I believe we do, but don't we? I almost positive.
Yeah, I think so. David.
David. Yep, I thought so. Okay. But Vicki, were you listening to Deacon Fabio's story and Mary's story prior to you jumping on?
Yes, and I felt ridiculous following a story like that.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because that's exactly why I was tongue-tied, Vicki, because after hearing Deacon Fabio's story, I'm thinking, what am I feeling sorry for myself for? I mean, this man was held captive for 6 months, thinking he could die at any time. And thank God they gave him a Bible that he could cling to. And that's where he drew his strength. And look what it has done. And I believe he even said at the end of his story that his life is better now than it ever was.
Yes,
so,
he did.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was just, when I was actually going to say that, but you caught me by surprise when you said Vicki, and it came through so clearly on the Bluetooth. I was actually going to say, I don't even know what to, after following that one, how do you follow it?
Yeah.
But, you know, we all have our really bad moments, and I've just found that just doing for others, which apparently he did too, because now he's a deacon, has been a really good way to help adapt to the new life.
Right. Well, and you can even apply that. That's so good. I'm glad you said that, Vicki, because you being in ministry and serving, you just said you just got done with Meals on Wheels. You know, that is a way, that's a way of giving back, you know, the gratitude you have. And in that service, there is a great sense of comfort and strength that you can derive from that, because it's just a beautiful thing. Same with Deacon Fabio. I would apply that also to Mary as well, because Mary put, in my opinion, she put aside her own feelings for her family. So she's serving her family. She put her marriage and her children first before her own needs. And I hope I'm not putting words in her mouth, but that's what I took from her story. And I think there's an element there that we can all relate to, that sometimes when we get outside of ourselves and the devastating situation we're in. I know you don't like to use that word, devastation, but we grow and we learn, and that brings us closer to God, which is the ultimate goal. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but it's not a popular thought, because this is the me generation, where everything is about me and how my feelings are. And I try to go to Mass every single day, and I really get a lot out of it. We have a fantastic priest. And it's not about me. And yet that's all we seem to hear is, how am I doing? Books on self-help, books on me. And I don't think that that's kind of what Jesus was saying. Let's just be concerned about us. And
it's true.
Get out of ourselves, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and that's why I brought up Romans, because I would highly suggest this to anyone listening right now. Please look at the book of Romans and meditate on it and really reread it several times, because there's so many passages about like Romans 8:28. He works all things together for good, and then it goes on saying to grow us in the image of his Son. So there's a divine purpose to everything we encounter, if we look at it that way. And Vicki, I could talk to you all day. I think you know that. And I just love that you called in, and I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for being in ministry.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, God bless you. Keep us in your prayers, and Jerry as well.
Always.
Okay.
You are.
Thank you. See you soon, Vicki. Wow. See, this is why we do this show, because I just wish Jerry was on with us today, because we would just be sitting in awe of you, dear listeners, because you are making this happen. You are sharing from your heart. So let's just keep going to the phones. Jared in Chicago, Illinois, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Jared. Thanks for waiting so very much. I think you got our virtual patience award today, Jared. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but keep it polished.
Well, okay. I'll put put it on my desktop, I suppose. Best place for virtual awards, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So what's your take on this? This is an interesting discussion, isn't it?
Oh, yes. It's very interesting to hear what other people are saying. And kind of as you were starting the show, I was kind of thinking about my life and thinking back that really there's 4 things in my life that people could have really called disastrous or taken and not done too well with. I'll list them off, and then I figure I'll just talk briefly on each one of them and kind of how I handled it.
Okay.
So I was in the military, and I had my contract cut short for a year because of an injury. And then I ended up getting engaged while I was in college, and the engagement had to be called off, so did not ended up going through with that. And later on, I ended up working on a pharmacy doctoral program and had to drop out due to a learning disability and not being able to complete the program well. And then later, actually earlier this year, my brother had passed away. So those are kind of the 4 things. And probably the hardest one to deal with was when I was in the military. I got kicked out, but thinking about it, looking back, that's probably the least impactful because I had originally only planned on doing 4 years, and then I was going to go on to college anyway. But during the time in the military, I ended up not really going to church as much, lost a little bit of my faith just due to, I guess, secular pressures there. And that actually made it probably the hardest thing to deal with, was just because I didn't have a good solid faith. And that took a while to get over that one. And then moving on with my engagement, I was engaged for the first 2 years of my college, and we ended up calling it off due to a lot of fighting and such. Looking back at that, it was maybe not a verbally abusive relationship, but it was a very manipulative kind of relationship, and I think if we had both decided to stick with that, we probably would have ended up being in a much unhealthy marriage. And realizing it now, I probably needed a little bit more time just to grow and mature before I would consider having a healthy marriage. And then because of that breakup, I ended up falling into a little bit of a depression. And after Mass one day, I ended up getting involved in our college Newman Center. And through that involvement, I went on a couple of retreats with some religious brothers. And that's actually when I started relearning about my faith. And one of the biggest problems I had was just justifying the rational existence of God. And they were some more contemplative, philosophical monks, and they explained the rationality of it very well to me. So I ended up becoming more active in my faith. Mm-hmm. And then that really helped me get over both of those first 2 events very well. And the discontent I was feeling from both of them, through prayer and reflection, I just became more and more content with how I am through becoming closer to God. Mm-hmm. And it really helps put into perspective that the things of the world, and even hopefully not cynically looking at things, but if you believe in God, the things of the world become much smaller disappointments in the overall picture. But if you don't, when you die, it's not going to matter anyways. So that kind of rationality kind of helps. But through getting to know God, there was just a general peace and contentment that came to my life. Then later I ended up, after I graduated with my bachelor degrees, I ended up going to college for a pharmacy doctorate. I did about 1.5 years in the program, but was really struggling and falling behind because I have a reading disability. And I wasn't able to keep up in the program, so I ended up having to drop out of the program before I failed out of it, and had quite a substantial amount of debt. And even now I'm not making as much money as I would have been then. But looking back at it, I realize that that probably happened for a reason, because I don't really feel as though I would have been content with that job.
Right.
There would have been a lot more pressures just to work and perform.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then also, I found as my faith developed, I wouldn't have really wanted to deal with the whole contraceptive and abortifacient drug issues that I would have had to deal with as a pharmacist.
Right. It would have been
So
a conflict.
Very
Sure.
grateful for not having to deal with that. And then the fourth thing was with my brother passing away. I'm not actually sure how I would even handle that without having the faith I have now. But now that I do have a much stronger faith, I realize that I can pray to him. I've got a few graces that let me know he made it to heaven. And I'm just generally content and realize that I'm still with him.
Beautiful. Can you impart to us your brother's first name so we could add him to our book, our prayer book?
Sure. His name's Daniel.
Daniel. That's my son's name. I love that name. Jared, you had a series of disappointments and setbacks, and yet, you talked about the monks that helped you in your just process your faith and take you to that next level. And now you're at a place where it sounds like you can look back and you can see all those little, and I say little only because you said, when you put it into the big scheme of things, the big perspective, they're all little bumps in the road, okay? Although when we're going through them, they feel like they're the biggest mountain that we could ever try to climb. And I love the fact that you have come to I love that you use the word contentment. I love that because so many of us strive our whole entire life looking for that peace and contentment. We're looking for it, and yet you have found it, or you have recognized it. And I think that is huge. That's a gift. And I pray that you always have that sense of contentment and peace and a bigger picture of things that you can understand, and the way you look at it, the perspective, the way you look back at all the things you've gone through. Because I do believe in my heart of hearts that God took you on this special journey and you were faithful, and look where you are today. You now have that deep understanding of the bigger picture of what God has really designed for all of us. So I just want to say that you're blessed. You really are. I'm sure you know that, and I'm sure you probably have sensed that. But there's a blessing in that.
Oh yes, I completely agree.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I pray that you continue to share your story, because you have a lot to offer others. I mean, you sound quite a bit younger than me, I think that's a good thing. But you have a lot to share, and I hope you continue to do that, because a lot of people need to hear it. Here's the thing: we don't have these conversations anymore in even in a lot of households, and we certainly don't have them in our workplaces. We don't have them out in the community. As a matter of fact, people are getting more and more quiet about their feelings because they're afraid to share. So you have something to share that could really help others, and I pray you do that. So thank you so much, Jared.
Thank you.
God bless you. Keep in touch. Wow. See, this is why we do this show, because Catholic radio, you're only going to hear this on Catholic radio. But believe it or not, there are folks out there that still do not realize and do not know that Catholic radio and television, especially EWTN, exists, and it's thriving, and it's doing great work all around the world. And that's why the wonderful help of media missionaries is so vital to the mission of EWTN. So I just would encourage you, pray about it. If you want to get the word out in your community, if you want to be a voice out there to say that EWTN has got great radio programs and television programs, then consider being an EWTN media missionary. They're just right there in your community, just sharing the news and letting everybody know that Catholic radio is here and Catholic television is here, and that's an awesome thing. So visit EWTNmissionaries.com today and consider joining the Eternal Word with the world. I mean, sharing the Eternal Word with the world, because it's important. Getting out there and raising awareness. I did it for 7 years, and I'll tell you, it was one of the best jobs. I just loved it, because when you see the light bulb go off in people's heads when they say, wow, we have Catholic radio, wow, we have Catholic television, it's a beautiful thing. So please, EWTN media missionaries. Okay, back to the phones. I'm trying to rush because I'm racing against the clock. I'm not as good as Jerry Usher. Jerry Usher can race against the clock so well. I can't. I get nervous when the clock is ticking. So here we go. Jose in Denver, Colorado, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Jose. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, how are you, Debbie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. spending time really sharing a lot of things with you guys. After my diagnosis of my disease and what I need to take care of for the rest of my life in order for me not to die, I'm being in the journey of encountering myself again. And I guess I always thought that I was okay with all the harm that I got from my family and past things. Last Sunday with the gospel, I realized that I was not so okay with it. So I really rushed into confession because we get that little brief of our Sunday gospel. I was pretty much Peter, asking for God to save me.
Right.
And that put me in the position that I was, where I pretty much harmed myself, and now I'm in the position that I am for the rest of my life. But you can learn to dance in the rain for sure. God always has been with me since I was a little kid. I was aware, but you can say I was numb because, I mean, being Mexican and Catholic is just like, oh, you're just born with it. So credo Catholics, I guess sometimes we take it for granted. Sometimes we don't go deep into, like, per se, this morning I was showing someone a video from Ascension Press from Father Mike. And it was talking about hate. And that person immediately, as soon as I reached out to her, write down the name of the website. She wasn't even Catholic. All this hate and everything happening around, it's putting me more aware of how much love we have to put out there. My own disease is telling me that I should do something about it, that it's not going to describe who I am. But just like Mary, I'm taking my cross and saying yes to the Lord and continuing my journey and go to whatever He wants me to do. A shout out to Roland Freeman because God has put him in the right place to help a lot of people. He's my, in a way, spiritual director. He's been my confessor for 7 years. And sometimes he points things out that I keep forgetting about, the greatest things that God has done with me, even at the midst of the storm. Because I'm in the middle of the storm, and He's still helping me. And I shake. Yeah. And I ask Him for, just like King Solomon, I don't want anything but give me the wisdom. Help me to understand others. It doesn't have to be about me. I'm the millennial generation, so I'm supposed to be entitled to everything. But I'm not entitled. I love this country as much as everybody else does because we all live here. And this was a place that gave me all the opportunities that I have.
Right.
So it's hard to see all these happening as I'm going through my own pain and see all this division from coast to coast. Everybody is equal under God's eyes. And at the middle of this struggle, I keep praying to God for mercy, not just under me, but under the nation and pretty much the earth, because now everybody's involved.
Right,
over important decisions of others.
Jose, first of all, I wish Jerry was on the show today because we absolutely love when you call in because you're just a beautiful soul. And you need to know that because you have such an incredible amount of love, and you started off the call with saying about dancing in the rain, and I had this visual image of that, and it's so true because believe it or not, Jose, we're all in the rain. We are all in the rain. Just look at the world right now, and you're right to be able to really realize that we can get to dance in the rain because God is with us. And you said that so beautifully. So I hope... Go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, I understood that even with my disease that I have to take care of, I understand that He's with me and He has a mission with it. And I don't have a problem with having it. He has entrusted it to me. Just like any other person going through any other courses he's in mine, because at least mine is manageable nowadays. But other people going through cancer and stage 4 and all that stuff, I mean, if you trust God, it's not fear, because even if my moment comes right now, I will be happy to meet Him. And I know He will be there.
Yeah.
And I will be happy when that happens, because it's not my time, but it's God's time. It's not my will, but it's His, and He's just putting the path for me, and I just have to be wise enough to make the right decisions.
Right. And to also just relish the moment, Jose, because none of us, we can't change the past, and none of us can predict the future. So we only have what we have right at this moment. And right at this moment, your beautiful tears, I mean, that's where God is. When two or more are gathered, Jesus is present. And you know what? I think that is wonderful that I think every single time that you have spoken with us, I gather that you are working very hard to stay in the moment. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. And He has regarded me to putting me in a great place to live. Be surrounded by all this nature, living in Colorado. I mean, there are other places in the United States probably nicer than here, but this is home. This is what I love. And every time I see to the Rocky Mountains out west, I can see the greatness of God, because right there is how great He is. He did all of this for us.
Amen.
And we can admire nature anywhere across the city here in Denver. And across Colorado, if you live in the western part of the state, you can admire His nature and the beauty and this playground that He gave us, and we're supposed to take care of it. Yeah. Take care of it, because it belongs to all of us. It was set in place for all of us, for sure.
Well, like I said before, Jose, you got to keep checking in with us, because we just love to hear from you. You're an inspiration. So you need to always remember that. And we love you. Please pray for us, because we pray for you, okay?
Sure will. And I just have the Feast of the Assumption. I kind of do my own thing at home, praying and going to Mass and all of that. And I have everyone in prayers there. And
Thank you.
I pray for 15 days.
Wow.
From August 1st to August 15th. Every day is, in Mexico, they call it quincenario. It's kind of like a novena, but it's extended for 15 days. So the whole 15 days, I was praying to my patron saint of the Assumption of the Virgin Mary.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Jose. You're strong. You're very strong. Thank you. And please,
it's God.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, keep in touch with us, okay?
For sure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Okay, bye. I think I'm down to about a minute. I would love to get to Mary Lou. If you can do this in 30 seconds, I just don't want to leave you on the line in Syracuse, New York, listening on EWTN online. Mary Lou, I'm so sorry. I've got about 30 seconds, but I wanted to hear your voice.
Oh, hi, Debbie. Thank you so much. Yeah, short and sweet. I'm inspired by what everybody's saying, and I just calling in quick to share. I had to go through a couple of brain surgeries and spinal cord surgeries over the years, over a span of 15 years or more. And it was always through, it was very difficult, and through my own pain and suffering that, the Lord uses draws me to His heart. And I was raised by a father that had a handicap too. So just tapping into what everybody said, God, and what you said, Debbie, beautifully, is that God uses our pain and suffering to pray for others and to draw us closer to His heart.
So, thank you, Mary Lou. Mary Lou, we're going to pray that you continue to stay strong, okay, physically, so just know that. Prayers are around you, Mary Lou. Thank you for imparting that, and please forgive me again. I'm running out of time, but tomorrow Jerry Usher will be back with us, and tomorrow we're talking about is God open to negotiation? Wow, that's an interesting topic. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day.